Welcome in all you members of the Duval Devout. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And we're doing this thing, the Duval Dive for the Believe Network. And as you can tell, Travis, my personal champion, is there on site there live from EverBank Stadium, of course, 2125. We're going to air quote it lost because it technically doesn't matter. There's a lot of unfortunate things that don't matter, and a lot of the unfortunate things I know Travis personally had to see. Oh boy, we'll get into that, yeah. I'm sure. But let's just start off with the opening drive. Of course, the starters did play for the Jags. I did see some Travis Hunter in some places. And based on our conversation Wednesday, first of all, what do you think of the starting offense? And then about the usage of Travis Hunter tonight?
Well, I mean, Hunter, he got his few catches in. Coach Cohen, after the end of his media availability, he kind of mentioned the fact that he wanted to make sure everyone had a touch point, everyone got a chance to get their hands on the ball. Travis Hunter, obviously, being no different. Hunter had his catches. He almost had a third catch. Discussing the one play that Trevor Lawrence kind of put on the backside of Travis Hunter, where he had an opportunity to get a few yards of yak after the fact. But overall, I think Hunter had a solid game for his one series on offense. He sounds like he was itching a little bit to play a little bit more on offense, but they just wanted to get his one series, get out of there, get his two series, on defense, and get out of there. Now, I did want to mention his defensive series because it didn't make the stat sheet. But if anyone saw Dwan Smoot's sack of, I believe, what was it, Mason Rudolph?
It was Rudolph.
That sack was because of Travis Hunter. I don't think anyone who's not seeing that on the television copy of this, but Mason Rudolph was targeting the guy who Travis Hunter was covering, and Travis Hunter actually went back into his zone, hopped back up, and kind of baited the quarterback to kind of throw the ball. Mason Rudolph pump fakes. And then realizes, oh no, this isn't there, and that's when Smoot ends up sacking him. So while it didn't make the stat sheet, Travis Hunter made his presence known on both sides of the ball tonight.
Yeah, and I listen, I was going to go there. Granted, that's a good detail. I don't think I caught that. Obviously, Smoot making an impact as you getting an opportunity to make fun of me just a little bit there as he's doing his thing. But yeah, I mentioned also that the two series that Travis Hunter's on the field, back-to-back stops of the Steelers in the first half, and then they come in on an 11-play drive after he leaves. Coincidence, maybe, but it has to be pointed out.
No, that's fair, but it was disappointing. I'm not going to BS it to any fans watching or any fans that were in the stadium. It was absolutely disappointing to see the Jacksonville Jaguars presumptive starting defense playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers second team, maybe even a few third team offensive players, because they didn't play 23 starters. They 23 guys, not started, but 23 guys on that roster did not play tonight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you would have expected the Jaguars defense to play a little bit better. Again, Coach Cohen mentioned this in his post-game availability, kind of mentioning the fact that the defensive secondary and such was playing a little bit less physical. They were playing a little bit more cautious, not as aggressive as far as that press man and, that we've seen in previous days of camp. So that's an adjustment that they're going to have to make. But nevertheless, it's not what you want to see in your one series for the Jacksonville Jaguars starting defense, that a group led by Mason Rudolph just drives straight down the field and score the touchdown. That can't be it, man. And I think they know they have to work on that.
Well, even with Mason Smith and Eric Armstead being uninvolved on the defensive side as well at the tackle spot, that particular piece being thin, that's a reason. It's not really enough of an excuse for that first team. I thought it just looked too easy myself. So I'm with you 100% on that. 301 yards passing, the number here I'm sure you didn't love. 3 penalties leading to first downs as well for the Steelers. So I think those are all factors.
And while you did mention you mentioned the defensive tackles, and I would love to say, hey, man, that's an absolute reason, but no, it's really not. The run game didn't demolish the Jaguars tonight. It really was in the passing game, the explosive plays. I mean, early on, Tyson Campbell gets beat for I believe it was a 30-yard catch, and that was whoo, oh, that's how we're starting this thing? Okay, this ain't going to end well. If this is how we starting, just like on the offensive side, if we're going to start with a false start, oh man, this probably is not going to be the day that you're looking for.
Right, 5 of the 15 yards that were on that opening drive. You mentioned also too a catch that wasn't as well for Travis Hunter on a screen pass that was good for 7 yards. I definitely pointed both those things out myself on my article for Fans First Sports Network. talking about the top performers. I do want to mention defensively, though, because of that, the reason why I point out that stuff up front, rushing that 4th and 1 to get the turnover on downs, stopping a run, albeit late in the game, to give Seth Hennigan a chance to try to lead the team back to that opportunity. I mean, it would be great if they scored the touchdown at the end, got the extra point, so Cam will have a win on a night where he kicks a 70-yard field goal. I keep telling you not to hate on this man. But nonetheless, he's the high point certainly for
I love the fact that I love the fact that you think I'm still hating on this man that just kicked the freaking 70-yard field goal. More importantly, as a shocker to all of the Pittsburgh media when everyone in the press box had to tell them, brother, he's made this 70-yard field goal in practice at least like 5 different times. Like, this is not like we had to tell. This was a conversation that happened before he made the kick, and they were like, really? And we're like, no. You need to understand. He has the leg to make this because we've seen him make it multiple times, and then he drills it and has 3 or 4 more yards, left on the bone at that point. That was crazy.
You're over there telling the Pittsburgh media about to learn today, and I mean, by the way, it just makes the fact. Oh, and he finished with a 52-yarder at the end. No biggie.
A normal 52-yarder for you regular kickers out there.
Yeah, right. He had these 2 40 and 41-yard chip shots to open the scoring for the Jags, but what else, right?
Yeah, man.
Let me, and I want to go through. I know I had another guy I want to hear you about. You mentioned Smoot already. I was impressed, and credit to Travis Hunter. He was obviously a driving force.
Being real. I thought there was a moment there that Smoot was about to be my defensive player of the game because I was running low on options.
You're not wrong.
It was to that level where you weren't seeing very many guys get their hands on the ball in the defensive secondary. And so if it wasn't someone like a Jack Kaiser who ends up having 4 tackles, I believe 1 solo, or it may be Antonio Johnson, again, another guy who has 4 tackles, I believe he had 2 solos, then you're in that range where it's like, all right, DeJuan Smoot, you had a tackle for a loss and a quarterback hit. Cool. That might, he's in that range because there were just so limited guys in my Big Cat Country article as far as who could be your defensive player of the game. So, I mean, the Smoot, if he's not the guy, he's absolutely in that competition or in that conversation for tonight.
Sure. I liked a few things I saw from Waywon Lane as well, in the special teams with the big hit.
Wait a minute, sir. It was like either you or Jaguars United Jason Trent. It was one of you tape watchers that was laughing at me when I told you don't call it a comeback with this dude Smoot. Comes out of nowhere and starts being his 2022 self. I don't know. I feel like there was a YouTube short out here somewhere or somebody cracking jokes on it.
My man. No, and yeah, listen, but for the record, it was both me and Jason Trent. Let's be clear. I'll take accountability. And I don't remember now if I said it on the show or in the digital green room here, but I knew this was coming, just like I had to bring up you hating on Cam Little. This is what we do on this show. We let people know when we write. It's okay. And yeah, listen, I definitely had to give Smoot his attention. What a way to come back to Duval. But I want to throw a name out to you and see how you felt about Trenton Irwin. Doing his thing as the receiver tonight. For me, he dropped a big 3rd down catch that could have extended things, but I really liked his touchdown catch, taking care of business, using his body to make the play, pulling in the contested catch, and getting some other big things down the field to get some movement for the offense. And by the way, excellent blocking effort to help Parker Washington convert a 3rd and 2 on a screenplay.
He did well. He had a solid bounce back second half specifically because again he did have the big drop that you mentioned from Nick Mullins, which I would love to give him a little bit less smoke on it just because it was a bad throw, but he got to catch it. It's kind of one of those both things, not one thing is true
on it. I hear you.
Like at the end of the day, I mean, he throws the ball behind him a little bit like it was an underthrow, so they allowed the defensive back to get a hand and get in there, but you still got to catch it. But at the same time, he also had the almost interception, the interception that never happened, as far as because they called it a personal foul on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Otherwise, that would have been an interception due to a mistimed jump. So it's like I don't just delete those plays from my memory just because the penalty called a bat that had nothing to do with that part of the play. So at the end of the day, he did have a solid game, but he absolutely had some things on tape that I'm sure he would have wanted back. So that's why I couldn't put him up there as far as the offensive players are concerned.
Well, and I don't think anybody tonight had a great game, and nor should you expect it, right? I mean, you thought me a little lenient when I put the over under at 5.5 for penalties. But, first year coaches all around, first time head coach, all of it, everything's brand new. 8 is too many. I don't care. 8 is too many.
Eight is too many. 8 is the number that we had in Tuesday's practice, whatever, training camp, day number 10, whatever day that was. We had 8 penalties that day, and everyone was freaking out, and media and fans alike, because that was way too many. And then you have the actual scrimmage with the lights are on, when you would hope guys would have calmed down and gotten that discipline, and 8 again. And you just can't have it. Like, literally the first play of the game, before you have a chance to run a snap, you have a penalty. I mean, you putting yourself behind the sticks on multiple of your first 2 drives. Sorry, each of your first 2 drives, you get into a first and 15 or a first and 20 scenario. And then you get on your third drive with the Cam Little field goal. He makes the 36-yard field goal, but you have 12 men on the field. So the special teams are getting involved in this now. Like, right? He has to turn it into a 40-yarder. Like, you got to get it right. But fortunately for the Jaguars, at least on the positive side of things, or on the optimistic side of things, you can make the argument that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers struggled with penalties early on in training camp last year. They figured it out. Somebody actually pointed this out to me on the socials. I didn't even realize that. And I'm like,
that was David. They responded to the Duval Dive socials. I forget the username. Yes. I know which tweet you're talking about precisely. Absolutely, it was a great call out.
Right. So at the end of it, I'll give them time. But just know that that's probably going to be a weekly segment in each of the Big Cat Country articles. Is like, hey, let's take a look at penalties and see how we did, because it seems to be a constant trend that we've seen from the scrimmage to practice now into the actual games when the lights come on. So got to get it right, and they got another 3 weeks to figure it out.
Before we wrap up here, let me hit you with some comments. Carlos Reyes comes in thanking us for the instant recap. I think Duval Dave jumping in here has both of us a lot to work on, but I think this is a pretty good start. You could build on this. And Jarvis from 85 comes in. Starting defense needs to tighten up in coverage. I think you touched on that too with the caution.
I got questions on the run game though, and that's the one question I really wanted to ask Liam Cohen about in his post game availability. Like, that was cut a little bit short. That was the one question that I really wanted to know. I wanted to know his opinion of the offensive line play in this one. And I'm going to take a look at that one in detail on our Big Cat Country write-up when we get the All-22 tape out from NFL Plus. Because I'm just curious. Bashaw Sutton and Tank Bigsby both averaged 4 yards a carry. Travis Etienne at 3 yards a carry on only 2 carries, so that's small sample size.
Yeah, Tank did have a drop, but at least it wasn't a fumble. But go ahead.
Right, so that's promising as far as the run game is concerned, but it's obviously not what you want it to be. Like 4 yards a carry is like the bare minimum that you kind of want your run game to be at. I mean, you're hoping that 4.5 range, but you can live with 4 yards if you can get it every dang time if you're efficient with it. But I would like to see a little bit more as far as the explosives from the run game. We didn't see that tonight, but again, Bashaw Tootin did have that 8 or 9 yard touchdown drive. Right. Assist from the big uglies, the offensive linemen.
Oh my gosh. That's my takeaway from the Biggins right there too. No, they didn't have a home run. I think part of that is running backs getting realigned. Although I will grant NTN had big plays. He had the second biggest catch among the starters yards wise. That was all good. I did like the consistency of, hey, they averaged 4 yards a carry at one point. And even though it's 6, 7 is the long, that just means that's a consistent wear down. That's the kind of stuff that will win you football games, right?
Efficiency,
I'm not here to celebrate yet and say Super Bowl or nothing stupid like that, but this was the improvement that we were subtly looking for. It's a great point by you. And I definitely loved the mosh pit into the end zone.
No, you're right. I complained all of 2024 saying, if only we could just be the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I wasn't even asking to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I wasn't asking for an explosive run game in 2024. I was saying, hey, the Chiefs, they are not in it. They were one of the least explosive teams in the NFL at the time, but they were efficient about getting 4 yards a carry. And they rarely ever had rushes for tackles for loss. So they barely ever got hit behind the line of scrimmage, and they were almost always going to give you that 3.5, 4 to 4.5 yard per carry range. So you know what? I can't complain now when we're talking about a team that, for the most part, averaged 4 yards a carry. You know what? Cool. That is progress. That would give you average. And if you give me that with the starting offensive talent for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably in a great situation moving into this 2025 season. So you know what? I'm gonna keep it consistent here. Cool. I'm willing to give them that time.
Couple quick shots I want to hit here from the comments too, from the fans. Just a few more. I know it's one series, says Carlos Reyes, but the defense makes you wonder if it wasn't coaching last year.
Oh,
I'm not there
we
yet.
Can't do this. We can't
Yeah,
do this yet. One series. But I understand people being worried because I looked at it and was like, ugh, that's not it. And then they took him out of the game, and I was like, oh, that's not it. Because I wanted to see him again, a second series just to have that, you end with a good taste in your mouth, and that's going to give these guys a week to just chew on this and mull over this, and that sucks. But also, same thing for fans. They're going to have, unfortunately, another week to figure, before they can see these guys. Hopefully, if they play in week 2, the starting defensive talent, to think about the fact that maybe this Jacksonville Jaguars defense maybe has a little bit more work to do, and we don't know. But they've seemed to be promising in practice, and I'm just going to go with what Cohen said as the truth until I see otherwise. As, hey man, they just played it soft because it was preseason, and they probably should have just done something different. All right, cool. If that's truly the case, then
hey, credit to Coach Cohen for taking the ownership and not letting his guys out there to drive too. Carlos also comments, NTN getting all the starter reps. I don't think that's really shocking per se, but I guess it's worth mentioning. I'm not going to diss it.
Sure. I mean, I think that was the expectation for me anyways.
Correct.
That ETN would get the starter reps, but I still don't see it any different than the timeshare that I saw it as at the season started, which is hot hand. Which guy is doing the work and not dropping balls, not messing up in pass protection, not turning the ball over, doing all the right things. Again, no different than that Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield in 2024.
Facts, right there. So mentions Antonio Johnson, a great pass breakup as well. Yep. I mean, Duval Davis, he's been coming in through camp. This is fascinating to me. Why do you think there was so much Trent Irwin from Zenith RX there, Travis?
Why so much Trent Irwin? I don't know, man. That's just what they like. Like, I mean, I can't really speak to why so much him. They targeted him a solid amount in the scrimmage. If you made it to the scrimmage in Alltel Stadium on last Friday, so this is not like a new thing. It just seems to be the guy in that second group that they like for fill in the blank reason. I don't know. I can't say he's not deserving of it. I don't know what he does as far as his other practice reps when we're not present. But maybe it's just the fact that he's gained their trust. Maybe it's the fact that he's just that veteran guy who's in the right spot, and maybe he's capitalizing in practice, and we just haven't seen it as much or as consistently in the game. Because again, all the good plays that's happening, a lot of them are targeting Trent Irwin.
Yep.
But also a few of those bad plays that's happening are also targeting Irwin. So maybe folks are just like, I don't know this dude's name, but I don't know how to feel about him, and that's fair also. So I guess we'll just see if the man can earn his roster spot. But that's why it seems like we're getting so much of him, because maybe he's just the guy who's getting open and he's sitting down in the right spot, a lot like De'Ami Brown was getting so many targets early on in camp. And Trevor Lawrence specifically pointed out, hey, he is in the right spots. He picked up this offense. He's my safety blanket, and I trust him because of that. Could be that.
That's a lot of good takes right there. To your point, amongst veterans, by the way, 6 targets for Trent Irwin. 5 is the next highest with another veteran, Parker Washington. So I think that is relevant there too. I would be remiss.
And Parker Washington should have had another longer catch if Nick Mullins would have been able to hit him. Nick had 2 throws that I just really wish he would have had back. Again, Trent Irwin incompletion that honestly, it was an incompletion that was challenged, but it should have been a touchdown if Nick Mullins would have thrown it in front of him and led him. And also you have the Parker Washington underthrow on 3rd down that I think it was a slot fade. Might have been another long catch, maybe if not a touchdown, if he just gets it out in front of him and instead it ends up being a punt.
100% agreed on both those. I know exactly which plays you're talking about. Obviously, I have to point out the jailbreak play that LaQuint Allen executed at the end of the game. That was fun to watch, but because LaQuint Allen's my guy, I got to point him out. And then closing,
LaQuint had a good game too. LaQuint Allen had a good game, especially in his pass protection. Bashaw Tootin had a good play and reasonably solid game overall. I think he was just real efficient, kind of what we were hoping for. A lot like Tank Bigsby's game would have been if he would have not had that 3rd down. I don't know if I'd call it drop, but whatever. The Jaguars had 4 drops, even if you don't count that as a drop tonight. So That was the other thing that wasn't mentioned directly to Coach Cohen, but that was absolutely something that the media room intended on asking him if the questions didn't get cut off. So you got penalties, you got drops, and Tank Bigsby, obviously having any association with the word drops is always going to have, fans with their antennas on high alert right now after the 2024, and 2023 seasons for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other points we need be made tonight before we wrap up here, my friend?
I mean, for the most part, man, that's what we got, man. It felt like air was out of the balloon at the middle of the second quarter for me personally. So I feel like that's probably how a lot of fans and even media felt. So overall, you got what you got from the starting offense. You got what you got from the starting defense. I would have liked to see a better performance from both the starting offense and the starting defense, but there are positives to be taken from them. So as we already talked about, the run game, I think that was moderately efficient. They kept Trevor Lawrence clean. That is progress. Cam Little's a freaking weapon, and that's just insane. And overall, you got all of your receivers involved in the game, whether it's Brian Thomas Jr. with his 1 reception, Travis Hunter with his 2, Brenton Strange with his 1 longer reception. Across the board, you got all the guys involved, and I think that's promising. And best thing of all, no injuries from the game. Hey, man, that makes it positive for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good take. I'm with you on a lot of that. A lot of guys did stuff they want to do. It's just cleaning things up. 8 penalties and 3 of 10 on first down ain't going to do it. Handing the other team 3 first down on penalties ain't going to do it. Bottom line. I can't front on that. So with all that being said, you've got even more depth to which you dive. Tell them where the people can find that, Travis D. Holmes.
Oh, of course, BigCatCountry.com, man. Come on, lock it in. We'll have you covered with the post-game wrap-up within the next, if you're listening to me live right now on YouTube, within the next, 15 minutes. And if you're listening on demand, then it's already on the site. Stop playing. Push that pause button. Go and read it, and then come back, and we'll have you covered with everything else, man. Come on.
Absolutely. Great work, as always, Travis. Thank you for joining us there on site there live at EverBank Stadium from the field there. Appreciate that a ton and the effort you put in. Check out the suit on Big Cat Country. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my work on Fans First Sports Network, where I tell you guys who I think my top performers, where I know I hinted at a few of them here, but find out for sure on, actually, it's going to be on Football Insiders. Pro Football Insiders is the site now, so make sure you check that out there. Still affiliated with Fans First, by the way, let the record show. Just made that transition here recently. It's going to be a good time with that. Of course, my work with the Orlando Magic as well, with Fans First, and my work covering the UCF Knights football and basketball. Previews are coming through the coming week there. Make sure you check out the new look, black and gold, bannerhead.com. And tomorrow, the Bolt Blitz will be doing their reaction to playing against the Saints, where I am producer extraordinaire. Check out my guy, Booga Peters, and 80 Simons making his debut on that as well. So if you want more football with me on it, those are the places you go. If you want more football with us on it, it won't be long before the next episode of the Duval Dive. So make sure you like and subscribe when that comes out. So for the, once again, intelligent comments, thank you for my champion, Travis D. Holmes from EverBank Stadium. This is Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed. Like